Hey, Clayton.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, can you hear me, Clayton? Oh, yeah, or I'm on the Zoom call with him.
Yeah, can you hear me? Are you able to hear me, Justin? Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Oh, wait, maybe I'm muted. Am I muted? No, I'm trying to get Clayton. Uh,
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
oh, there we go. Now I can.
All right, great.
Let me turn that off.
We're a little after 5:30 here, so we'll go ahead and get started on tonight's webinar. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I'm Clayton Ender, City of Johnston City Planner. I'm the lead for the city on this citywide soil quality restoration project. Believe everyone here that I'm seeing in the attendees has already signed up for the grant program, so thank you. And we still have plenty of capacity that if your friends or neighbors here in Johnston want to participate, please send them our way. We're happy to get them included in this program. What we wanted to do tonight is have our contractor, Justin Lewis with Lewis Lawn and Labor, provide kind of his plan for completing the work on your properties here in Johnston. So with that, unless Justin, you want me to touch on anything else before you get going, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I think that is it. Yeah. Well, perfect. I'm going to start sharing screen. 1 second. Perfect. Perfect. Well, we will get started. First thing, I'll start off with a video. Tells a little bit about us and who we are. Sure, got it all queued up. Now, Clayton, is that sharing sound as well? Did you hear anything on there?
I don't hear anything yet, but it's not playing.
Anything there?
No sound.
No sound. Okay, let me double check one more thing. If not, we will proceed ahead. Share screen. All right. So it doesn't look like I can share that. So what I'm going to do, folks, is put this link in there. And after the presentation, please feel free to watch that. That tells a little bit about us and where our company came from, but also goes into depth of what this presentation already is about the process of a soil restoration and how to maintain it and what it looks like. So with that, we will keep trekking forward. All righty. Get our slideshow going. It's loading. 1 sec. All right. Perfect. Is everybody able to see that?
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, first of all, thanks everybody for being here. It's always a privilege and honor to meet with people from Central Iowa and talk about my passion and love for what we do. My name is Justin Lewis. I am a product of the east side of Des Moines and was able to graduate from Iowa State and come back home and start my business. In 2012, Lewis Lawn and Labor was created because I was just a very much poor college student with $600 of a payment in loans, and I just had to do something. So the hustle was cut grass, and from that and our attention to detail, our business grew very rapidly in the mowing space. We eventually closed down and then reopened back in 2020. But during that time, we were performing soil restorations and being introduced to the environmental and conservation space. But yeah, this is Lewis Lawn and Labor, a product of my heart. Go to the next slide. There we go. So a little bit about us. We became a corporation in 2014, but the business has been operating since 2012. We've completed over 200 soil restorations. That's restoring almost 3 million square feet in central Iowa. Completed a large scale, just like this one, in Polk City back in 2021 with 60 homes and 500 square feet. We participated in a lot of Iowa stormwater education and rain campaign. And we get a lot of our training and knowledge from the universities as well as those programs. One thing that sets us apart from a lot of folks is our workmanship, our professionalism, and customer service. One thing about me, I am a perfectionist, and we will continue to do it until we get it right. Perfect. Now we're going to jump straight into it. The benefits of a soil restoration. So there's a plethora of them, but we'll list a few. It reduces soil compaction, increases pore space. Pore space opens it up and allows to hold water. Increases organic matter and content to improve the function of your soil, as well as gives the organic matter landscaping the ability to soak and absorb like a sponge. Most compacted soils only hold about 1/4 of an inch of rainfall. After a soil restoration, will hold 1 inch and 1/4. So it has a huge significant impact on your lawn and the root system and being able for it to survive some of these harsher summers, but also the large scale impact when we do these collectively. We can capture a lot more water on our own properties before they go to the storm drains. And that's millions of gallons of water. So this is why we're starting to see a huge push throughout all these communities of getting these programs completed. Projects and programs completed. Perfect. So I think the biggest thing is seeing is believing. So here's 5 pictures of what a soil restoration looks like. There is the initial shock of this project getting completed and people saying my lawn is covered in black material. So this is why we're showing it. This is what it looks like. It won't harm the lawn. Majority of the time, it just needs to sit there and you just need to water it in, but this is what it looks like. Also, while we have the picture up, if you look at the bottom right corner, we'll be presenting in the next few slides. We dump in front of your home or in the right, on the right way that is reserved for parking and coning them off. So that down in that bottom corner, there is a little bit of residue that is left. Our guys do broom it up and sweep it down well. But after that first rainfall, that last bit of resin will go away. And I can guarantee and promise you that. Perfect. So now our compost supply comes from Metro Waste Authority, and we might be supplementing from another source as well, who has their national certification as well. But right now, our main source will be coming from Metro Waste Authority, their Grow Compost. So compost does not have dirt and should not be used or expected to level lawns. Compost is not as dense as dirt. So what they're explaining is we can't fill in holes in your lawn. If there's holes there, we ask you to do it before we come. Then we can do the soil restoration on top of that hole being filled and allow you to grow grass. Compost will not kill weeds. There's a big misconception about that. It will improve the soil quality and allows the grass to grow and lawns to thicken. But compost is a natural fertilizer. So any seed that's already there will be percolated and stimulated from the natural nutrients to grow. So we do ask customers to hold off on any weed or fertilizer 4 weeks before we come, and then 4 weeks after we come, just to have that safe buffer so we're not over fertilizing the lawn. You will possibly need to get back on a weed and feed treatment after we're done. But right now, our goal and our intention is to restore the soil first, grow grass, and whatever grows, grows, and we will address it after the 4 weeks of doing spot spray and so forth. Compost is not used. So the compost that we are using, there's no manure, so you don't have to worry about it. It is safe for kids, pets, and animals. It is a little messy when it gets wet, but you just need to dust off your feet before you come into your house. Last but not least, this is actually probably a public service announcement more than anything. Compost is organic, but sometimes there are non-organic materials that can be found in the compost. So this is me appealing to the community. If you do have a compost bin, make sure that you're putting things that are compostable, avoiding plastics and large rocks and so forth. That can't all. Sometimes those materials can't be sorted out in the final product, and then that is left on the burden of the contractor. So we will walk through and get as majority of what we can see if we see some foreign objects, but that is also another thing that will be passed on to the homeowner at the end. You may find a few sticks, but we do, before our final sign off, our guys walk through and pick up whatever is found. And then here's the next picture. So some of the items, we have found a multitude of things. We found cans, we found large sticks, we found some 2x4s, plastic bottles, a bra, and some glass bottles. So public service announcement again, make sure if you have a compost bin, you're putting what is compostable, because it does come back to us in turn. All right. And this is another video from the rain campaign. Since our sound is not working, I'll make sure to put that link in the bottom. If you also go to lewislawnandlabor.com, you'll be able to find both of those videos there as well. And just talks a little bit about what a soil restoration is and what to expect. I guess I can let this one play. Another little fun fact that I was reminded about, it does protect our water because it does a multitude of things. If you're fertilizing your lawn, that increase in water absorption also allows more nutrients that is put onto our lawns to be held, so fertilizers and chemicals too, which prevents that from going to runoff and going downstream. So there's a multitude of things that soil restorations do for our community outside of our lawns. All right. Perfect. All right. So one thing that you can expect from Lewis Lawn and Labor going forward is great communication. So what we did, what we noticed as a contractor for the last 2 years was there was a communication barrier. And we started implementing this pre-project checklist probably about 5 years ago, because we noticed that customers weren't always ready when we arrived, and they didn't always know what to do after. So yeah, our pre-project checklist just tells you what to expect of us and what we expect of you. So Lewis Lawn and Labor will aerate your lawn 1 to 4 days before the project starts. Gates should be unlocked and yard must be accessible. Please let us know if you have any questions. Pre-project checklist customers should mark invisible fence or irrigation headlines, clean up animal waste sticks before aeration, cut grass to 2 to 3 inches. Be careful not to scalp the lawn, and you will need to wait approximately 1 week before cutting the lawn after the project. Also, the pre-project checklist, you can expect that to be arriving 10 days before the start of the project as well. All right, now we'll go into core aerating and the core depth. So what we have here is our aerator that we bought a few years ago. It is a commercial grade X mark. It's a company owned by Toro. This one, we did not get good core plugs. Those are probably about 3 inches. But yeah, those what the cores will look like. They'll be littered throughout the lawn. Typical depth that we will fluctuate between are 4 to 8 inches. And I leave that up to the discretion of our aerator, just because of depending on the conditions of your lawn, 8 inches is too deep, and it'll start pulling up the sod. So I have him just monitor what the lawn will allow us to do, but you'll at least get 4 to 8 inches in depth. But we just ask that you allow us to do our discretion because we do not want to tear up your lawn. We're here to only revitalize and restore it. All right, the next part, dumping and hauling of compost. So this is like the main material that we need. There is only a few places that we can dump it. It's in the street. And we do not like to dump in driveways. So we really ask and plead that you don't have us do that just for insurance policies. We're hauling tens of thousands of pounds of compost, and it will crack your concrete. It will be okay in the street because it has a higher pounds per square inch. So yeah, this is a little bit about the compost. This is me very happy about the Polk City project getting started. We're dealing with 2,000 to 3,000 yards of compost at a time, and our guys, you'll see them throughout the city dropping loads before the project starts. All right, a new service that we, Lewis Lawn and Labor, will be adding this year is specifically we will be using specific seed types for your lawn based off of the sun density or shade density. So we'll have 2 different types of seed that we run with. One that will be a sun mix, full sun mix, and one that will be a shade mix. We're getting away from utilizing Kentucky bluegrass because of one specific thing. It takes about 8 weeks of germination just for you to get the results. And we've heard our customers very loud and clear. We need to make an adjustment. So in these different sun mixes, there is Kentucky bluegrass, but it's not the main source. There will be some creeping rye and creeping fescues, and I have been guaranteed from my distributor that the blade width matches and follows exactly along with what Kentucky bluegrass is. So you won't be getting any broad leaves. You will get a thin leaf. But this is what you will want to utilize to start filling in those spaces and get the instant gratification you need. As well as another issue with Kentucky bluegrass, it doesn't perform well in shaded areas, and that's why we're adding a shade mix now as well. We were noticing with some of our customers, we'd had to come back and double seed just because that Kentucky bluegrass takes so long, but it just doesn't do good in shade. So this is a service that's not going to cost any more. We'll be able to make that adjustment on your site specifically to what your lawn needs. So we're really excited about offering this service. All right, now let's talk about the post-project care and maintenance. So your lawn is immediately safe for kids and pets. However, it is messy, like I said. So remove and wipe shoes and paws. So take this with a grain of salt. Our applicators are very, very well trained with at least our project manager with 4 years experience of being on my staff. A lot of my young men and adults that are coming back have been with us for a full year, and some 2 and 3. So they know exactly what specific quality that each lawn calls for. So with that being said, you can identify thick compost areas as just a good rule of thumb, but really let it set it and forget it, water it in and let it be. Do not go out there chasing thick spots. It's going to be just fine. But I will go over those rules. So identify thick areas. So you'll pull those blades back. If you see an area completely covered in compost, you just want to fluff it in. Don't push it more than a foot away from where it's already set. Just fluff in where those grass blades are not showing and allow them to come up. In part to that, this is why it's very imperative and important that you will also cut your grass to 2 to 3 inches of at height. And why that is because any grass that's higher than 3 inches, the lawn starts eating up more compost. And then also that grass blade will lay down, and anything that lays down will eventually die. So we ask that when we get there, the grass is cut. It's at that, maybe it's maintained at that 2 to 3 inches. So the grass is vertical, and the best thing, everything grows up. And that's exactly what that grass will do. So we ask that you please cut your lawn. If we do have to cut it for you or pick up any animal waste, there is a service fee, or we will have to reschedule. So yeah, do not let that lawn sit covered for 3 days. Again, you won't find too many of those spots. And if you do, fluff it in, but do not spend hours out there. Just do a quick fluff. Yeah. Watering. So watering is important. And what I like to explain this to our customers and clients, it's no different than a sod farm. Sod farms water, they seed and they water those patches or those acres every single day. If you want the instant gratification and the higher germination rate, we ask you to at least water for a month. The seed does germinate pretty rapidly, and you will get those results. But you can not water, and it'll have a lower germination rate, but you can water, and it has a higher 80 to 90% germination. So yeah, like I said, here we'll go over this list quick. So SQRs, or soil quality restoration projects, are completed in the spring and fall when the ground naturally holds water. For instant gratification, you can water your lawn. Even without frequent watering, the seed will take hold naturally the following of fall or spring, or those areas that it's usually more wet. It just has a lower germination rate. If you have dew in the lawn in the morning, you do not need to water the lawn in the morning. Focus your efforts on evening watering. And then we also recommend the tuna can method. This link will be sent to you in your post-project checklist as well. But the tuna can method is just a very easy way to put a tuna can out. As soon as that tuna can fills up, you've reached how much water is required for that area. Also, we ask that you follow city guidelines on watering during the summer months as well. All right, a little bit more. So to build up or maintain a thick and healthy lush lawn, we advise homeowners to do a couple of things. Soil restoration isn't a one fix all thing. Being a homeowner and addressing your lawn will take place with you for the rest of your lives. So we ask that you continue to seed after we visit. You should look at your lawn and a lot of these turf grass as a cash crop or corn. You're constantly planting corn, so you constantly need to be planting seed. So overseed every year, spring or fall. And then another thing that you are constantly needing to be looking for is dead areas of grass and pulling and dethatching those areas. And then another thing that it can do a lot of harm to your lawns are grubs. So keep an eye on those things. When you can get to a very thick and lush lawn, addressing weeds becomes very easy because you can spot them and come out and pull them. But you can only get there if you're constantly replenishing and replacing seed, because the lawn just naturally dies off. And that is our presentation for that. I think me and Clayton now have, we're just going to do just a quick interview of some of the FAQs, and he'll read those off and I'll answer some of those questions, and then we'll open it up to questions to the public.
If as we're going through any of these FAQs, if it sparks a question, feel free to toss it in the chat box and we'll get to that at the end as well. So you do not have to wait till that point to put it in. All right, Justin, when are we planning on starting this work?
Yeah, so we're looking to start by August 10th. I know that will be a little bit close on pushing the deadline for alerts. So around August 10th, August 13th, we'll get started.
And how is a homeowner going to be notified when you're going to be coming to their house?
Yep, all homeowners will be notified via email from our Lewis Lawn and Labor Gmail account.
And that will happen how soon prior to?
Yep, so it'll be 10 days before the start of the project. Some of the folks that will be starting on August 10th, it'll be a little close, but we will allow you to alert us if that you'll be available to start. So we'll be flexible on the front end.
Will homeowners need to mark their utilities?
Yes. So if you're aware of any low utilities like CenturyLink or MediaCom, we ask that you do, but typically it's not needed. One thing we do ask, and it has to be done, is invisible fences and all irrigation heads. That can typically be done by just popping up your sprinkler heads and popping flags into the ground. You can purchase those at Menards.
And if someone wants to get a hold of Iowa One Call, how soon prior to the project should they do that?
Yep, I would start calling those folks now, and that's 811.
I know we've talked about what to do to prepare for the project, including marking the fences, picking up animal waste, and cutting the grass. Is there any other items that someone might want to be considering prior
Yeah.
to?
So what I usually advise people, and you'll get in the pre-project checklist, this is the time to do all your lawn work to get this grass to grow, and restore your soil. So if you have any dips, holes, wanes, this is time to bring in some dirt and fill in those holes. If you have leaves still on your lawn, this is the time to get the leaves up off the lawn. If you need to dethatch, this is a great time to dethatch. Because we want great soil to compost contact, so then this root system from the seed can go straight down. We don't want it to have to compete with any dead grass or any leaves or any animal waste. We just want great contact. And I think another thing, stop fertilizing and any chemical treatment for the next 4 weeks. Yeah, or actually, I would stop until your install has been done, and then 4 weeks after that is when you can restart.
So someone should probably notify if they have a lawn company.
Call them today.
Call them today and schedule that as well.
Yes, sir. Cancel services until 4 weeks after your install. And a lot of folks
how are we looking at scheduling properties out? And because we're looking to go geographic, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep. So scheduling projects will be based off of just how we're doing. Logistically, we're doing this based off of communities, neighborhoods, and streets. So if there's a whole street, we're just going to be working from east to west or west to east. And we're going to try to stay as efficient and in a flow as possible. Yeah.
And if someone has a special request for timing, you'll take that into consideration, correct? But
yes,
ultimately, the geographic is the logistics is going to take.
Yep, being efficient is our most important priority. We don't want to. So we have a team of 40 people that will be aerating, dumping, and then our labor team will be coming through and spreading. So it'll be very difficult for us to do one street of 10 people and then have to jump clearly on the west side and do one and then come back. It just isn't efficient. So if there is any concerns, send them now if possible, and we can see what we can work out.
Going back to putting the compost down and the seeding, do you do the seeding for the aeration, with the compost?
Yeah, that's a good question. So seeding always comes for us. There's multiple ways you can do it. Some people include and incorporate in the compost. Some put it down before the compost. I like to give customers instant gratification and see what they're paying for. So the seed's always placed on top. Yes, sir. For our company.
And how much compost should a homeowner be expecting to be spread on their lawn?
Yeah, anywhere from a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch. But we specifically, I pride myself on my guys. I feel like we have an artisan craft going on now, but we curtail it based off of what your lawn is asking for. And your lawn asks for certain amounts and rates. So if there is a very bare lot, you'll get about 3/4 of an inch. If it's a very lush lawn, we can't go 3/4 of an inch because it's too heavy and it will suffocate the grass that's trying to work its way through the compost. So that's a little bit about the science, but yeah, that's what you can expect from us.
Will homeowners need to stay off their lawn for any period of time
You're
afterwards?
you're if you want to get dirty, you're more than welcome to do it. Once you start watering in that first week, it'll start to dissipate and work its way down. But yeah, you're free to play on it and jump on it. Yeah, your
Will
shoes
this
will.
project, yeah, will this project help prevent any additional needed treatments in the spring and um, address things such as crabgrass, clover?
Yeah, so it won't address any of your weeds. It will make weeds grow. Yes, it's a fertilizer. And that's why we tell customers to get back on those treatment plans to get those weeds back at bay if they do appear. It will fertilize and green up that lawn immensely for the next 4 weeks while it's there, but it's not a long-term solution. Thickening the lawn is probably the best long-term solution, and making sure you keep those weeds at bay so it doesn't weaken, so the weeds can take hold.
So moving on this FAQ list that I have here, will a homeowner need to be home for you to complete the work?
Nope, just need the gates unlocked, dogs put away, animal waste picked up, and lines and heads marked.
Do you want homeowners to bag the grass prior to treatment?
Yeah, for this application, it is. We don't want anything that's standing in the way from the compost making good contact with the soil and with the sod and the grass.
Well, I'm going to jump over to some of those that are popping into the
Mhm.
chat box now, and I'm just going to read them out.
Sweet.
I saw lots of new yards. I've lived in my house 40 years. Yard has trees, rain, and vegetable gardens. Can you work around these things?
Yeah, yep, we absolutely always work around landscaping, trees, and so forth. Yes, ma'am. Or yes, sir. Whoever that was.
Next question. How long should a homeowner expect the SQR to last? How soon should they consider doing this again?
Yeah, so we do have return customers, but the most I've ever seen a customer do is two, and usually after that first one, they're seeing instant results. There are certain places that are pretty the soil health is pretty depleted, and they will do twice, but usually 1 to 2 will get you in.
Next question. You mentioned calling 811. I will one call. Why would a homeowner need to do that?
Yeah, so the only reason why you need to do that is the communication companies. So Mediacom or CenturyLink, if you know, and you should know, majority of customers do, that those lines are sometimes ran right directly up under the sod, and that's not at any depth, and it will typically grab and rip that cable line. So if you know that is what has happened in your lawn, call it. But typically, it is not. Most homeowners know where that line is, and if it's close to the surface.
And I'm going to go pull an aside from that.
Mhm.
What should homeowners expect for you completing work near those low utilities?
Yep. So if there are low utilities, I require my guys to stay a foot off of those utilities on both sides. So if you're watching the aerating and if you see them miss a space, it's because we're trying to protect your property and investment and do right by you.
Next question. So no mowing for 4 weeks?
Yeah, let it grow. No mow. I would water it in and start allowing that grass and the seed to start germinating and take place. And if you do have to mow, I require that you do not bag it because we run the risk of picking up any of that seed that hasn't germinated.
Next question here. Just to clarify, I should not need to mark my MetroNet line, correct? I know loosely where the line was laid.
Yeah, so if you know that line is at the that sod level, I would go ahead and get it marked. If you know that they put it at the depth that they're supposed to, then you're okay. The only utilities we are worried about are the internet and communication. But the gas, the water, all those are well below where our aerator could reach.
Iowa One Call will cover, or you'll get the communication companies which should mark the lawns there, but it will not cover things such as sprinkler heads and invisible fences, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir. And with invisible fences, we have a contractor that will be in the email system. He covers this Central Iowa, and he may actually have installed it. If he's one of your clients, he will do it for free. If he's not, I think it's a $25 service fee. But we require that customers mark those because those replaces get very expensive, and it is on the burden of the customer to make sure those are marked before we get out there. What they typically do is when Paul arrives, he will mark it out and draw the actual physical line. We had a customer try that and we hit it. So we asked that a professional come out and mark it.
All right, for this next one, we have Dave who has raised his hand. I'm going to allow him to talk because I think he wants to ask you a question.
Absolutely.
Dave, you should be able to unmute now if you had a question.
Yes. Can I? Oh, sorry. I was so busy typing my questions, I didn't see it. First of all, would you cover once again how much watering is going to be required? Is that, you said for a month, is that every day for a month?
So I like to ask customers to water for a month. Yes, sir. For a multitude of reasons, to get that instant gratification, to see that germination rate and see the bang for your buck. You do not have to do that if you don't want to spend those dollars. It just decreases the germination rate just a little bit, and that grass will come in the fall once we start getting some more dew and rain. But I like to ask, but if you don't feel comfortable watering, you do not have to do it. That's just fine.
I just need to know whether I need to get a loan from the bank on the water bill, I guess was the thing. That was a joke. Also, do you come and look at the yard? I mean, when you, one of the concerns I have is in some of our trees, the roots are kind of at the surface level.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you handle those?
Yeah, so what our aerator will do is if those root systems are very close to the surface, he will put the tines down and keep rolling until he gets to a space where there is dirt and put them back down. So he'll curtail it based off of where those roots are. Sometimes he will have to avoid it just purely to protect the equipment and the tree. But yeah, you can still do a soil restoration under it. If the canopy is low, we typically ask for you guys to raise the canopy so we can get up under there. But yep. We'll still be able to do a soil restoration.
So compost would still be added to those areas, correct?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Dave, as long as there's no landscaping plastic or rocks, our guys will spread those areas. But our hard borders, our fences, edging, sidewalks, driveways, and patios, they won't spread those. So
okay, good. How long will the compost be in the street?
Yeah, so typically, depending on how many we're doing, it could be about a day. So it could be dropped off the day before, and then they'll come through and start running the material.
So we don't need to tell the neighbors that the snow plows will get it when they shovel the snow.
No, you don't. But yeah, if your neighbors ask, just tell them to be patient with us. Sometimes we may have a rain delay, and it may be an extra day that sits there, but we'll make sure to get those piles moved as fast as possible, and I can promise you it won't be there no longer than 2 to 3 days.
Okay, one of my largest concerns is I've already paid for our lawn service and already scheduled aeration with them. Now I need to basically forego half the contract and say, no, we're not going to need any service until 4 weeks after, which is a month after, which gets us way out of our cycle. Any suggestions on that?
Yeah, so I would just tell them what this program is doing for you and how it's helping you, and they'll be pretty understanding. If they need to contact me as a contractor, I can explain that to them as well. I'm happy to do that. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily have them aerate this fall. You can. I think it's just going to loosen up the soil more, and I don't think you need to spend those dollars. But you can have them push it to the spring, and they can do it then.
Okay, I might have them do that because I've already paid for it, so
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yep, I would push it to the spring. Aerating has benefits all throughout the year, so it doesn't hurt to do it in the summer, spring, or fall.
And did I understand we will get a specific date so we know when to mow and have the yard cleaned up?
Yes, sir. So you'll get an email from us 10 days before your expected start date for the project. And then what we typically ask clients is to mow 2 to 3 days before that install date, just so that we limit the grass growth that we're up against. And another thing too is if you get an alert that we are coming 10 days, stop watering your lawns because we run the risk of if there is rain, then the soil will be oversaturated and then we would have to push it back and delay it a little bit more, or because you won't get the aerating quality that you need.
Just thanks for bringing that part up because one of the questions, let's say 20 days is our scheduled time, just hypothetically.
Yep.
And we've had no significant rain since then, let's say.
Yes, sir.
And the city or the Des Moines Water Works says no more watering of yards, folks, until we get through this drought period. Do you then push yours back, or what happens?
Yeah, so what I would ask customers is to hold off watering. What's nice about our seed and the seed science of seed is that it will go dormant as long as we don't water it. So it will sit, and then once we get out of that window of August and get to September, then I would start putting the water on it. You shouldn't lose any germination rate from that 1 month time span, but the germination rate can go down after months of sitting there.
And also, do we get a little sign to put in our yard that says, neighbors, please do not call for a health and wellness check because our yard's turned
Yes,
out?
the city we will give you guys signs, and that will let people know what's going on there. And if your neighbors want to participate, it will have some information on how they can participate, and we welcome them to continue coming to me, and I'd like to get as many people involved in this as we can.
I'm sure they will participate, but just maybe not in the way I would want them to. Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dave, for your question.
Right, moving back to some of these here in the Q&A. The next two are from the same person, so I'm going to kind of combine them together. We have a huge complex that is unwatered. Do they have to water? And what about areas that grass has never grown and it's very sandy soil?
Yeah, absolutely. So sandy soils, if they're what we typically do with those is bring in dirt. We're not allotted to do that. So if you have an opportunity to bring some topsoil in, you don't have to overkill it, but a quarter to half an inch is great because it gives it a nice basin, and then we can spread compost on top. You will get results from that because of the nutrients and the soil depth will allow to sustain that grass system. So yes, large apartment complexes, if they have watering systems, go for it. But with that amount of space, I usually typically ask them not to water and allow the natural germination rate to take place. What we're doing is, yes, you can get the instant gratification from the seed, but long term for those larger complexes, as long as you're seeding, you'll have that life. You have the nutrients and the life system built within that soil, and it will start catching, the seed will start catching too and start germinating. So large scale apartment complexes, hold off, but the smaller scale with the residents, we would like for you to water so we can increase the impact of water going into our storage systems.
Well, okay, we got another one that just popped in. You mentioned first applications start August 10th. What is the latest time frame for application? I'll respond to this.
Yeah, I think that's a question for you.
Currently, the contract the city has completion by November 17th of this year. We'll continue to monitor how the project progresses, whether we have capacity to add additional properties in as funding allows. And if we need to extend that time frame, we'll cross that bridge then. But at this particular point in time, November 17th is the end date. And I don't know how, Justin, what your plan is on how late do you think you're going to be going?
Yeah. So what's nice about soil restorations, we can do this work well into December. You'll still get the same results in December after snowfall. That seed will go dormant, and then you'll get those germination rates in that coming spring. We have some good examples from clients that we've already done those on. So yeah, we're available. And if worst case scenario, we have to roll it into spring, we'll be available, and we'll have a team to finish out the last bit. So absolutely.
I believe we're both optimistic we'll still be able to get everyone completed yet this fall.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Next question. Once we start watering, how much watering do we need to do every day?
Yep. So I usually err on the side of once a day. And in the presentation, if there's dew on, when there's dew on the lawn in the morning, focus your efforts in the evening. One, because you'll have a lower evaporation rate and a higher soak-in rate because it's cooler and less heat. So yep, once a day.
Any other questions anyone wants to add in here? Last thing that popped in was just more of a comment. Sounds awesome. Excited.
Sweet.
We're excited too. As people kind of think if they have any final questions, I'll just remind if you have not turned in an application yet for the grant, certainly do that. The sooner we get them in, the better, so we can make sure we're moving things along. If you do not have a quote or you need revisions to your quote that I sent out, let me know. Happy to get those out to you. If you're talking to your neighbors and they say, hey, I want to get participated, send them my way. I'm more than happy to get them the information and keep them moving along as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a few other last questions here have popped in. You mentioned this does not help bumpiness in the lawn. Does the new thickness help with that?
Yeah, so it won't address bumpiness. What we're addressing is getting that healthy top layer of organic material. To help bumpiness and address that, you would want like a top dressing with like seed and a potting soil and dirt mix. We offer that service to do some of addressing that bumpy level, but soil restorations is not meant for that, and it won't address those issues.
If someone does the SQR this fall, can they come back and address the bumpiness without undoing the work?
Yes, absolutely can address it afterwards. It's only just going to add, fill in those voids and be even better for you. So absolutely can do it.
And kind of, I know there's another question here, but building on that, if someone wants to work with you on potentially additional services or work, is that something you're open to and you want them to contact you about?
Yes, please do. Absolutely.
Last question I have here is, what about falling leaves in October?
Yes, so good question. Falling leaves, we ask that you pick them up, mulch them, and bag them and get them out of there as quickly as possible. And compost them.
Not seeing any other questions pop in here. I'll give people maybe another 1 or 2 minutes if you think of something. But also, if you feel like hopping off now, you're certainly welcome to do that as well. We did record this meeting. It will be put on the city's website. My goal is to get that up there tomorrow. So if you need to refer back to it, that should be available to you. And as Justin and I have said multiple times, any questions, we encourage you and welcome you to reach out to us. We're happy to help you.
Yeah, any further questions, utilize our business to triage any concerns about the project. And if we can't answer it, we can refer you back to Clayton. So questions about scheduling, dates, chemicals, aerating, please refer that to us. We want to not put, we don't want to overburden city staff on questions that we can answer and we're ready and prepared to answer.
All right, we got two other questions that popped in that I think are very good. Can they do just part of a lot? And I'll address that because yes, I have been quoting out specific areas, and we're providing Justin the quote documents that you've seen, so they know where they're supposed to be doing the work, and that should be provided to your staff on site as well. Correct, Justin?
Yep. Correct. Yes.
And then the next question is, will the lawn look good for a May graduation?
May graduation for the following May. Yeah, it should. So as long as you stay on your regiment, and one thing I would do is in that springtime, later spring, I would throw some seed down.
Well, I want to thank Justin for joining us today, and thank everyone who hopped on the call with us today.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for having me. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Email is the best. We have someone always manning that. I usually answer the phone calls, but right now we're training and onboarding about 40 people to get ready to start these projects. But Nikki or Ashley will be able to address any questions, and they'll be happy to do so.
Well, I will give everyone back the rest of their day.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you.